Hey, welcome to Container Upgrade. How to build systems that carry you is what we're going to be talking about today. I'm Ebony L. Green, also known as the Ratchet Sage. For nearly 30 years, I've been activating visionaries and changemakers to build systems that don't burn them out. And I care about this work so much because I've lived through containers cracking in my own business, and I've watched too many clients do the same. That's why I created the AI-Augmented CEO Lab and frameworks like digital staffing and AI-augmented leadership. So if you've ever felt like your ambition was too much or that you were failing because you couldn't hold it all, you are in the right place. Today, I'm going to show you how to upgrade your containers so your systems actually carry you instead of collapsing when you rest. Thinking back, a client once told me, I feel like every time I pause, I have to rebuild my whole business from scratch. And maybe you felt that way too. At first, it looks like momentum. You're moving fast, keeping up, making it work. But what I noticed is this. Every pause reveals the truth. The system was leaking. That isn't a failure of discipline. That's a failure of the container holding your business. Willpower burns, yet containers hold. In this session, I will walk you through the 3 levels of container fluency so you can audit where you are, identify your leaks, and see exactly what kind of upgrade your system is asking for. Now, most solopreneurs don't fail because they're unmotivated. They fail because their systems can't carry their ambition. But here's what usually happens. You hold everything in your head, you run on sticky notes, late nights, and adrenaline, and the moment you pause, momentum collapses. That's not motivation failing you. That's your container cracking. And I remember working with a founder who thought her system had failed because she wasn't disciplined enough. What I noticed, though, was different. Her container was simply built for a smaller version of her business. It worked when she had a handful of clients, but the moment she scaled, it cracked. Not because she was weak, but because the container was never designed to carry the weight she had stepped into. And that's when it clicked for me. Containers crack. The container that held 5 clients won't hold 50. And the container that carried sessions won't carry programs. And that container that worked in hustle, it ain't gonna work in sovereignty, baby. And when your containers crack, most people go straight into shame. I should have seen this coming. I should have been there from the start. I should have been more disciplined. But let me tell you, redesign isn't punishment. It's reverence. It's literally your system telling you, my future self deserves better scaffolding. My vision deserves systems that honor it. My body deserves rest that doesn't cost me momentum. So if this is feeling familiar in any way, shape, or form, it's time for us to break down the 3 levels of container fluency with some real stories so that you can see yourself inside this framework. Level 1 is all about remembering. This is where most people start. Everything lives in your head. Tasks survive on sticky notes and adrenaline. The moment you rest, momentum collapses. I worked with a coach once who kept all her client notes in her head. When she took 1 week off due to illness, her clients felt abandoned because nothing was written down. They had no other touch points with her. There were no back doors when she wasn't available through the front door. You feel me? Now that's not failure, but it is fragile scaffolding. Now, at level 2, you start building structure outside of yourself. Workflows get documented, AI prompts and SOPs exist in Notion or Google Drive or something similar. Delegation happens, but it still depends heavily on your energy. What this looks like is I worked with a founder who had SOPs for everything. Okay, that might sound like you, but no one actually followed them. Does that sound like you? Because these SOPs weren't reinforced with rhythm. The systems were designed, but they still leaked because they weren't reinforced with rhythm. This is progress. It's better than level 1, but it's designed without reinforcement, and that makes it fragile. Okay? Now, level 3, level 3 is sovereignty. Here, your system recalls when you forget. Rest does not erase momentum, and your container carries your clarity, not your willpower. Listen, I had a client step away for a full month, and because their system carried their clarity, their team, their clients, their content, everything kept moving. That's container fluency. That's sovereignty. Now, let's pause for a quick self-audit. This is the same exercise I run with leaders inside the CEO readiness room. Take a notebook or your notes app and write your answer to these questions. 1. Do you lose momentum every time you rest? 2. Do tasks and systems live outside your brain or only in your head? 3. Does your system carry clarity when you're gone, or does everything collapse without you? Because your answers will tell you exactly which level of container fluency you're operating at and where your upgrade needs to begin. Now you can see what I mean by the principle that I call container law. A level 1 container cannot carry level 5 results. Every stage of growth demands a new container, and that's container law. I saw this with a client who tried scaling with the same setup that held her early hustle, and it cracked the moment she leveled up. The container that worked when you were holding 5 clients will not hold when you're leading 50. The container that carried sessions won't carry programs. And never forget, the container that worked in hustle will not work and hold you down in your own sovereignty. And that's not failure, that's evolution. So instead of shaming yourself for cracks, I want you to honor the cracks as invitations, because every crack is a signal. It's time for an upgrade. That's what that signal is screaming. And your ambition isn't too much. Your container is too small. That's another thing that crack is saying. So the question is not, how do I push harder? The question for you, Boo, is, how do I build wiser? And here are your next steps. You can watch the demo to see container redesign in action, how we do container redesign with 4 AI teams with 27 employees spread across them. And then you can join the Readiness Room waitlist if you're ready to get down with those 4 teams and those 27 employees to begin building systems that protect your sovereignty. Because redesign isn't punishment, it's reverence, and your future self deserves that.